What is the #1 killer in the Black community? Heart disease, cancer, crime? What if I told you that the #1 killer in the Black community ends more Black lives every year than the next 15 leading causes combined? And what if I told you that this dominant cause of death, which accounts for over 426,000 deaths of the most vulnerable Black lives each year, is entirely preventable? What is this mysterious killer which so targets the Black community that the Reverend Jesse Jackson once correctly called it a genocide against Blacks? The answer is abortion. Abortion is tragic no matter the beautiful hue of skin, but a highly disproportionate number of abortions are committed on Black lives. In Manhattan, home of the nation's largest abortion business, Planned Parenthood, more Black babies were aborted than born alive in the last reported year. There were 1,159 aborted for every 1,000 born alive. In all of New York City, Black babies are over 4 times more likely to be aborted than white babies. Those numbers are also reflected at the national level, where Black babies are aborted at rates 4.5 times higher than white babies. No demographic is hit harder statistically by abortion than the Black community. Planned Parenthood kills more Black lives in 2 weeks than the KKK killed in a century.
Hi, I'm Mallory Wilson with the Washington Times. Behind me is the bus from Planned Parenthood of Great Rivers, where they're giving free vasectomies, free medicated abortions, and free emergency contraception in Chicago's West Loop, just 10 minutes from the Democratic National Convention.
Planned Parenthood staff is saying that on the first day of the DNC, they did 10 free abortions. 10 helpless babies have been sacrificed so far at the DNC death cult.
We have been here yesterday, today, providing some free care to folks, vasectomies and medication abortion. And, again, we're just really excited to provide the opportunity for the thousands of folks who are coming to Illinois.
You walk into that operating room scrubbed and gowned, and after removing laminaria, you introduce a suction catheter into the uterus. This is a 14 French suction catheter.
This really is just health care.
If she were 12 weeks pregnant or less, basically the width of your hand or smaller, you could basically do the entire procedure with this. But babies this big don't fit through catheters this size. After suctioning the amniotic fluid out from around the baby, you introduce an instrument called a Sofer clamp.
This really is just health care.
It's about 13 inches long. It's made of stainless steel. The business end of this clamp is about 2.5 inches long and 1/2 inch wide. There are rows of sharp teeth. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go.
This really is just health care.
A D&E procedure is a blind abortion, so picture yourself introducing this and grabbing anything you can blindly and pull, and I do mean hard, and out pops a leg about that big, which you put down on the table next to you.
This really is just health care.
Reach in again, pull out an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you. And use this instrument again and again to tear out the spine, the intestines, the heart and lungs.
This really is just health care.
Head on the baby that size is about the size of a large plum. Can't see it, but you pretty good idea you've got it if you've got your instrument around something and your fingers are spread about as far as they go. You know you did it right if you crush down on the instrument and white material runs out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains.
This really is just health care.
Then you could pull out skull pieces.
This really is just health care.
And you have a day like I had a lot of times, sometimes a little face comes back and stares back at you.
This really is just health care.
Congratulations, you just successfully performed a second trimester D&E abortion. You just affirmed her right to choose.
This really is just health care.
For the first time in my life, I really looked at that pile of body parts on the side of the table.
This really is just health care.
And I didn't see her wonderful right to choose, and I didn't see all the money I just made. All I could see was somebody's son or daughter.
This really is just health care.
Women are not being told the truth about what this experience will really be like.
The problem is primarily in the Democratic Party. Like now it's in the Republican Party too, but I think we know who's perpetuating the extremism.
They are promoting, they are advocating abortion, they are celebrating abortion.
I hate to say it, but the Democratic National Convention has become a death cult. It's like a religious practice that they're doing right now, mocking motherhood, mocking parenthood, literally killing children, parading this full-on show for the abortion industry. It's very clear what their agenda is. It's bald. It's in front of the entire American public that this is who they are. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. And here they are celebrating the killing, the murder of innocent human beings as some sort of ritual at their own convention. It's absolutely horrific. I mean, they're saying my body, my choice. What about, yes, as a woman, it's our body, but when we're pregnant, there's another body, right? There's two bodies and another body that deserves a shot at life. And they talk about freedom and women's empowerment. There's no freedom in killing your child. That's slavery to an anti-life ideology that tells you that motherhood is a curse. That's a slavery. That's an oppression of women as it is also an oppression of a child. So there's lies that are just covering all of this violence and all of these antics.
As founder of the American Birth Control League, which later became Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger was no doubt a controversial figure with disturbing views on eugenics, race, and population control. While some argue she even wanted to exterminate the Black race, others are trying to erase that part of her past.
The Mike Wallace Interview. In the eyes of some, Margaret Sanger has been a heroine. In the eyes of others, she's been a destructive force.
In her own words, Sanger pushed for a society that limited births to those she deemed fit to have children.
Well, I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born.
In 1916, Sanger opened the country's first birth control clinic. As a member of the American Eugenics Society, she advocated improving the genetic composition of humans through controlled reproduction of different races and classes. In 1939, after opening another clinic in Harlem, the birth control activist launched the Negro Project, an initiative supported by Black leaders, such as civil rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois. Critics claim the program used the pretense of better health and family planning for poor Blacks in the South as an attempt to limit the Black race. Ludwig says some on the left grapple with Sanger's past and how to interpret her legacy.
They know when she writes about human weeds, they know that it's repulsive. They know it's disgusting. The left will never abandon Margaret Sanger because if they do, she's the foundation of so many of their views.
Sanger once shared her vision for a preferred race at a women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan. Despite those views, liberals praise Sanger's work while ignoring her history.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision. I am really in awe of her.
Margaret Sanger's American Birth Control League became Planned Parenthood.
60+ million babies have not been born because they were aborted legally since '73. 1/3 of that population belong to the African American community.
Dan Gaynor of the Media Research Center says that Sanger's true mission remains alive and well throughout today's abortion industry.
Look at the maps. See where the abortion facilities are. They are near places where people are marginalized, people are poor, people are minority, and that's their target market.
This really is just healthcare. This really is just healthcare.
Abortion can never on its face be safe because in order for an abortion to be deemed successful, an individual and unique human being with a beating heart must die. That can never be safe for that individual human life. I know it has a heartbeat. I know there is life there, and I know it is innocent. And I'm willing to kill it.
This really is just healthcare.
We have sunk to a new low in our society.
This really is just healthcare. This really is just healthcare. This really is just healthcare.